Good morning. Welcome to the Alpine Church of Spiritual Living on this July 31st, last day in July of 2022. I'm going to be reading the thought for the week, and you can join me as we get down the bottom part of the bolded area. Freedom has been the theme for this month of July, and freedom comes in many forms. Our great country was formed with freedom and inalienable rights and liberties which cannot be taken away. We have seen our Supreme Court uphold freedom of speech earlier this month, and it is a blessing that the intentions of our forefathers have been upheld. Yet my focus during this month has been more on experiencing freedom from within. There seems to be a constant hold upon many of us to hold ourselves back from truly being free. Viktor Frankl wrote, "Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way." We are free to choose our own attitude at each and every moment. Life will bring us what it brings. It is not up to us to dictate specifics, but rather to choose our response to life's events. My mentor, Rev. Dr. Martha Creek, wrote about her journey through breast cancer in her book, Martha's Pearls. She conveyed that she was never afraid of the diagnosis. She wrote, "On the day of the mastectomy reconstruction surgery, I wore a pair of giant heart glasses and a button that said, 'Stop staring at my breasts.' As doctors and nurses paraded in to prepare me for surgery with their to-do lists and serious questions and tasks, imagine their surprise as my first task from them was to have their picture taken with me. Staff from all areas of the hospital came to check out the party in my pre-op room. They sang Christmas carols, wore the glasses, took pictures, and laughed. The last thing I heard was laughter, upon wakening was, 'Ms. Creek, here's your button back.' With laughter and gratitude, the spirit of all is well was and is alive. When we are free to experience life exactly as it is, we can bring ease to dis-ease. Say with me, I bring the spirit of all is well to my life experiences and feel deep freedom, gratitude, and joy, and it is so. This is the day that the Lord has made. I shall rejoice and be glad in it." If you have heard me speak over these low 20 years, that's not the first time you have heard that. For Psalms 118, verse 24 is, I think, my favorite of all. And it's a comfort to know that this Lord, this love, this law has given us this day, has prepared this day, has brought us this day, brought to us by the Spirit. You know, in our Western society here, when you say, "and this program has been brought to you by," and it pretty much tells you that they paid for it. You know, they're presenting it, they're getting it to us through the dinero that we use in this society. But I want you to recognize that what Spirit is giving us every day, love, Lord, law, whatever you want to call it, energy, essence, is giving us these things of life to play with through consciousness. Consciousness is the dinero. Consciousness is the payment, is the method in which we are able to play with the things in life. I've been going back to using the mantra that many of us learned when we were doing our Diksha training several years ago. I am existence, consciousness, bliss. I am existence, consciousness, bliss. As I just read in the thought for the week, one of the examples of that consciousness came from Martha Creek when she responded to her cancer diagnosis in the way that she did. I wanted to read a little bit further on in the article that she wrote. She said, "Even though I was hearing my breast, I didn't believe it was my breast. While some would be concerned about losing a breast or even their life, that wasn't my reality. If I have thoughts about a future with cancer, I have no freedom. I am in an imagined future and must return to reality, a little r, which is stress-free and kinder. The theme this month has been freedom. And Martha reiterated that if she was thinking about the future with cancer, she had no freedom. She couldn't imagine the future and had to return to the now, and which is stress-free and kinder. Many times we get ourselves so caught up in the future and imagining the scenarios of what the worst case could be, and we live our lives there rather than living in the now, in the lightness, and knowing that, there isn't anything that's happening right now that's that stressful for me. How about if I stay in the now and live from here? She went on to say in that article that after the 8-hour mastectomy and reconstruction surgery, the doctor came in to check on her, and she was still hooked to the, tubes and the machines and all of this. She jumped out of bed, and the doctor was very concerned because he thought she was doing some sort of problem with anesthesia. She was not in her right mind. What are you doing? You're jumping out of bed. And she said, I was just doing what came natural for me. I went over and gave him a big hug. He said that he had never seen a patient jump out of bed that quickly and have her arms so available without any sort of restriction from that type of surgery. Martha went on to write, I also define freedom as being open and willing to do it all wrong without trying to do it right. It's easier and a heck of a lot more fun. A closed, afraid, stuck mind has no options. I have the option to free myself over and over as life brings what it brings. There are two ways to experience cancer, in fear or in peace. There are two ways to experience life, in fear or in peace. I have been cancer-free for 13 years, and it taught me a great deal about life. What we're talking about this month, what we're talking about today is our choice that we can be free, regardless of what the diagnosis is, regardless of what they say can happen and will happen. Life brings us what we have need of for our healing, right? As we have been experiencing that with our welcoming prayer. I welcome everything, for I know it is for my healing. Martha said again, a closed, afraid, stuck mind has no options. So I accept everything that comes to me today. We are living in a whole, complete, perfect, divine universe that knows what it is doing, that has provided for us this life, and it cannot be separated from itself. That means that each and every one of us cannot be separated from that life, from that wholeness, from that perfection, from that love. That's what we are. So I go back to Psalms 118. This is the day the Lord has made. And what is our job? We get to rejoice and be glad in it. Martha is such a staunch pioneer in showing us again and again how we can respond and react to what life brings us. I know that most of you are interested to know what happened yesterday after the wonderful life celebration that we had for Wes yesterday. I had to scoot off to the Padre game because my 4-year-old granddaughter was opening the whole game by saying, "Play ball!" And she was chosen because her mother, Lindsay, her boss, had been a friend of the Padres marketing guy. And so in a discussion, they were talking about Burke our son, who had been a Padre fan, had been a season ticket holder. And so they made arrangements that Adeline could go down on the field and say play ball, and she's been practicing. And I'll show you all the video of it afterward. She had a little turtle. He was maybe about 5 or 6 inches big in her hand. She said the turtle knows exactly what to do, so the turtle's going to help me say it. and it did. She did a fantastic job. She was all enthusiasm. Play ball! I wore Burke's hat for the event because he and I both have pinheads. His hat fit me. It won't fit many people, but he had a little tiny head like I did. So after the thing started, and I went back up to the concession stand to get my hot dog, and it was interesting. In retrospect, I was thinking about it. Was I'm standing in line, I thought, I'm going to get some peanuts. Now, typically, I would always buy Cracker Jacks. That's what I do. But it dawned on me that I think Burke must have been directing me for the peanuts from the hat, because he would always buy peanuts. So I'm standing in line waiting to get my hot dog and my peanuts. And this woman was in front of me. And she and a fellow were together when I first got in line, and they were hugging each other. And he goes, okay, I'm going to go over here and get this, and you get that. And then she just started talking to me. Just turned around and just started chatting, and oh yeah, he's my best friend. I'm here with my best friends. We're celebrating our birthday. She's telling me all about this stuff. I felt like Susie, my friend, that used to say that when she went in the grocery store, she had this sign across her forehead, "Tell me everything." She was just telling me everything. This is the reason I'm there. So I shared with her the reason I was there. That my granddaughter was able to say play ball, and told her why she was chosen. And so I got a little teary-eyed saying that, and she was, oh my gosh. She said, you are so strong. And she gave me this big hug. But it was amazing to connect just ever in a moment's time with a total stranger. To me, that is evidence of this life force that flows freely through all of us when we allow it to do it. Michael Singer says that we can learn a lot from death, and I believe we can. One of my daily reads is Roy Eugene Davis. And today's message was a prayer, and that I imagine most of us are familiar with. He said that it was first published in an obscure French spiritual magazine, La Cholette, in 1912, and later attributed to St. Francis of Assisi, who lived from 1181 to 1222. And it reads, Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there's hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. And where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. And it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Roy Eugene Davis had a footnote at the bottom of that poem, and it read, the dying cessation of a mistaken sense of self-identity allows our immortal essence of being, in parentheses, existence, to be realized. We need to die. We need to let go of that feeling, that realization, that thought that we are separate, that there is a separate self here. There is a oneness, there is a wholeness, and that when we can live from that unity of immortality. We can let go of the fear of letting go of this earthly life, knowing that it never, ever ceases, and that it will continue in a different vein, in a different way. Our topic this morning is release and relax. Release your stronghold on thinking that you have to do it all yourself with a little s. You don't. You won't. Life will bring us what we need at every moment. We can have a stress-free life when we sink into that deep awareness that we are love in expression, that we have that availability, that we have that onus, that we have that expectation to see this love and this wholeness in everything around us and in everyone around us. We can live this life of freedom that is inexhaustible. Release and relax. Live a life of peace and joy and freedom and lots of laughter this day and every day. Namaste.